Hey guys, Trigger John coming at you with another Awaken Chaos Area video. On today's video, what we're going to be talking about is this is going to be kind of a continuation from the guild boss, and more so about what comp I am currently using in the guild boss and what is actually netting me damage wise, and kind of the thoughts and the breakdowns. I'm going to show you the stats. I'm going to show you why I chose this team. And I'm going to kind of go into a little bit more in depth so that way you can understand a little bit more of the background so that way you can make an informed decision on your next guild boss team. All right, so as of recording this, it is about 30 minutes after reset. So that means I can go in and I can do my guild boss battles. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you exactly what I got on my guild boss on the last battle. And that way you have a good idea of what you can get. Now, keep in mind, I am one of those players where I am not going to manual my content. For lack of the better words, I don't like it. I don't like manualing through content. I do manual through Void Tower, and that's understandable because that is the in-game content. But Guild Boss, I feel like needs to be an auto-friendly deal, as well as like Endless Trials. That should be just a one-click button and go walk away. As long as you have the gear and the team set up, it should perform. In this case, this is 100% what my auto score is. And if I actually show you what my teammate has, he has a lower tier Antinua. And yet he has so much more damage than I do. So much more damage than I do. I guarantee you my stats are probably better. But the thing is I am gonna manual this. I'm gonna auto this. I'm not gonna manual it. I'm not gonna min-max it. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I know there are so many players out there who are on the same line as I am. You don't want to manual a guild boss battle. I don't blame you. I'm not gonna do it. So I definitely would not say that you need to do it, right? It's no different than any other game you came from. You're not gonna want to manual that fight. Like, example, if you're from Raid Shadow Legends, you're not manualing an entire clan boss battle. You don't want to do that. That's so much time out of your day gone, right, for one battle. So this is gonna be a auto-friendly team. It did 571,000 damage. That's not terrible. So let's go ahead and let's go break it down. Let's understand why I built that team, for one. And then for two, we'll cover, the stats I used. I'll show a run, and we'll I'll comment the run, just like I did in my last Guild Boss video, guys. I'm gonna try to make sure that I do this for every single element, and that way you guys have a good idea as to what kind of a team I'm using to get my results, because I am making decent amount of gear returns just by doing these battles. Okay, so let's pull it up. As you can see here, I have Blackhorn, I have Antinua, I have William, I have Hakrin. Now, you have water element, water element, water element, wind element. Antinua is going to be the only one not really targeted, right? Because this is the water element boss here, so Antinua is not going to get targeted for the most part. She is strong element. For two, you have support, and support. But caveat of this, William brings along with him a lot of attack up. So if we go and look at my William, he's almost maxed out, right? He is one ascension away from having the HP attack defense ascension. Gear wise, he is looking at about 21k HP, 1500 defense, 174 speed. Keep in mind that speed, it is fairly important. It's not the make or break speed, but it is important to note the speed. And his focus is at about 71%, okay? Overall, not too bad of stats, honestly, for my William. But I have my William. He brings the attack up passive. He's ascended, so he does the additional attack boost, which goes on to Antinua, which goes on to Blackhorn, which also goes on to Hakrin, okay? William is also in, I don't know if you noticed, but he is also currently in cursed gear. Now, revival gear would have been the best option, more than likely, for the guild boss. I don't have enough revival sets to really put them on this full team to test it. But if I could have had him in a revival set, chances are he would last a little bit longer because he'd keep himself healed once we get into later rounds and Blackhorn can't keep the heals up. So definitely keep that in mind when you build him. I have him in curse set just so that way he can proc his A3 more often. Notice it's a 2-turn cooldown on the defensive down. That gives you 2 turns to hopefully proc a cursed proc to reduce that ultimate so he does more defensive down before Antinua attacks. Okay. Also note, his speed was 172, 174-ish. Let's go talk about our DPS unit real quick before we forget. So his speed, he's the defensive down, is 172, 174. What does that mean for Antinua? What does her speed need to be? She needs to be slightly slower than William. The reason being is you have the speed, right? You have the speed, you have William who's gonna put the defensive down on, and then you have your DPS that comes in and does all the damage for you. So when you do all the damage, what needs to happen? Well, defensive down makes a difference, right? That makes the target weaker, that makes Antinua do a lot more damage. The speed wise in general helps out, especially with counterattacks. So this puts Antinua last in the lineup, which means that when you go and you look at her ability here, she has Unicorn's Blessing. Unicorn's Blessing is a, when attacking, deals 30% bonus damage. When attacked, when reduces damage taken by 30%, remove this effect upon taking damage for 1. She has another type of deal where she can proc off more attacks. If this character has Unicorn's Blessing, then launches a bonus attack ability against the target. So if she already has Unicorn's Blessing, she will do another damage. This is great because this is an A1 ability, right? It does help with the counterattacks, even though she will take some damage. So when she takes damage, I believe she loses Unicorn's Blessing. But two in one hand, one in the other, she does a lot of counterattacks. She does a lot of attacks. She does a lot of bonus attacks. You get her in the right set, and she can do even more damage. That's what the big picture is here and why you would use Antinua. Also, she's a very free-to-play player because chances are you're going to pull her very easily, as well as if you spend just a couple of dollars, you can get her, right? She is part of that bonus pack. My free-to-play account still doesn't have an Antinua, but if I were to spend like $1 on the game, I would have her, okay? And she's an amazing guild boss team member. Notice I have all support and 1 DPS. That's because that is how good she is. Now, the other thing to note was her stats. Now, her stats are not as high as I would like. I would like to see her at least 4K attack. Her speed is perfect. It's not too slow. It's not too fast. Her crit damage, really ideally, I should be somewhere between the 270 to 300 crit damage range, ideally. Unfortunately, I did not hit that target goal, and I'm not worried about her defense, and I'll explain why in a minute. But that is what's kind of hurting me from hitting those really, really high, like 700, 800k damage thresholds, is because I just don't have the right gear on her. I could strip characters and put the right gear on her. I personally, I'm not one of those guys. I'm not going to do that. That's too much work for me. I feel that you should have independent gear for each character. I do understand at the beginning that you do kind of divvy it up and you only use certain gear on one character and that stays there for the lifetime of gear. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do that unless I have to. Okay, Antinua, that's the DPS. The next one we're going to talk about is going to be Blackhorn. Okay, Blackhorn is used in my Queen of Tides comp, so he is built fairly decent. He's built fairly tanky. Oh, hold on, sorry. I also wanted to point out Antinua is in a curse set. I don't know if I pointed that out. Okay, now let's get back to Blackhorn. Okay, Blackhorn, look at his gear. He has HP set, he has a Raider set, he has a mixed match set. He is not fully decked out. He has room for improvement, but at the current moment, he serves his purpose. His skills are done, his runes are done, his HP is 21k. Now his heals scale off of this HP. Defense is decent. At 1500 defense, that's pretty good for a support unit. Focus is only at 23%. Ideally, this needs to go just a little higher so it can really get up that attack down. I will eventually work on replacing a few pieces of gear to see if I can't get that focus up. I would like to see this focus more at like 60, 70%. That way you can rely on that A1 attack down always, because William will throw up the counter attack, which then allows your Blackhorn here to counter attack and keep the attack down at all times. That's kind of an oversight on my part. I really should get this fixed. I bet you I would do a lot more damage, but overall, these are the stats I'm using. Also notice the speed is at 175. It is greater than Antinua's. All right, last but not least is our man, the one, the only, the Hakrin. Now, something to note about Hakrin is something pretty simple. His HP is at 19k. Okay, so let's go look. Where is everyone else's HP at again? I kind of forgot a little bit, but you'll see what I'm getting at when we get there. So he's at 21k. Okay, well, what about Blackhorn? What did Blackhorn have again? I think it was something pretty close to that 21k, right? Let's pull him up. Oh, he also had 21k. Okay. Oh, and they're both water elements. Okay, interesting. So what I'm getting at here is I have chosen to use Hakrin, and he is purposefully having less HP than Blackhorn and William. The reason being is so the guild boss will target him. His HP is low. He's the same element. That is a deciding factor. HP makes a difference. He's also the slowest. This makes him the target of all the single attacks. Who better to single target than Hakrin, right? The man that has the most defense in the composition. Sure, single target that guy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Now, one thing to note is I don't have my Hakrin built optimally. He is not built optimally. He really, honestly, he's subpar, and I'm not gonna lie to you when I say this. His defense should be about 4k at least. His HP at the 19k, that's not bad. Honestly, it's not bad. I'm just shooting to be under. He needs to be the lowest HP water unit in the composition, so that way he gets targeted, because he has the highest defense with the HP as well. That's going to scale, especially when he uses his ultimate 3 times, which gives him the 45% HP health. That makes Hakrin the best tank for the guild boss. In this case, we are using a kind of a tank unit, because Antinua just does that much damage, where if you allow someone to tank all the damage and soak it all up, then Antinua can really shine. I have tried the same comp with Ricard. It does do a lot of damage. Ricard is an HP based character, so he's super tanky, almost never dies. But I did find it was better when I left it just as support and Antinua as the DPS. Now, if I were to raise this a little bit more on the defense side, it would be even better of a comp. I would probably hit the 700k, if not a little higher on the range, to be fully honest with you. So at that point, I have now explained to you why each character is in the composition, what they do. I've explained their speed and how Antinua is the last character out. She's going to do the extra bonuses because of the extra attacks because of the unicorn blessing, because of the cursed gear. William is going to hopefully cycle through a lot of his abilities to get his defensive down going more often because of the cursed gear. Hakrin also had cursed gear, so you will cycle through very quickly the A3s to get that 45% HP boost up. If I build him correctly, he will have a little bit of crit rate as well, so that way he will be able to do a little bit of damage. But ideally, really all of these guys other than Antinua should have a revival set. And this battle would go on for a long, long time. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get into the battle, and I will explain the spells while we're in the battle. Okay, so I went ahead and I hit start here. The battle's gonna start. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move my big head out of the way. So right now I'm kind of blocking the battlefield a little bit. Notice everybody's abilities are up and active, and that's because we need everybody's abilities. What I am going to do though is I am going to click on Antinua. Okay, maybe I'll click on Antinua. She's popping off too much for me to be able to click on her. There she goes. I clicked on her. She's now green. This is something that another content creator pointed out to me that I was very grateful that they pointed out. I totally forgot you can select your own roster for where your spells are going to take effect, or where your heals, your single target heals, are going to take effect. In this case, we know that Antinua is our most squishy character on the field, right? She had what, 11k HP, she had 900 defense. Ideally, she's not doing that great when it comes to stats. But because we can target her, she's going to get the Shield of Mercy. That's why that's the spell you're going to bring along with this composition, is Shield of Mercy, because that means that when she has Shield of Mercy, this will negate any deathly damage to her and give her a 15% heal. She will also spend most of this battle with a heal up ability, thanks to Blackhorn from his heal over time, as well as his totem, as well as if you use Guy's Renewal, you also keep the heals on all of your characters. So that's the thing to note. The reason why this comp works so well is because you do have a lot of healing with Blackhorn, with Guy's Renewal, and then you have targeted your weakest champion to negate that essential damage, right? By having that Shield of Mercy spell on her, once she gets her HP so low, that Shield of Mercy will stop her from dying, for one. And for two, all those additional heals are gonna proc, and then she's gonna be just like, you know what I mean? She's just her health is gonna rebound. With Hakrin on the team, by the time it gets to the point where Shield of Mercy actually comes into effect on Antinua, well, she's already gained a 45% HP increase. So at this point, now that I've said this, we have our third HP increase, which means that Antinua's HP is now at 14k. Hakrin's is at 28k, still the lowest on the water side, but then we have Blackhorn and William are both at around 30k HP. And keep in mind, the health for the heal here is based on this character's max HP. We have now raised it significantly from 21k to 30k. That's a pretty significant amount in my opinion, right? This means that Antinua, every time the Blackhorn heals, Antinua is pretty much going to be healed up from nothing. So that's why this team works. It has that synergy. We have synergized the entire team where we have given Hakrin's defense to everybody, so they take more hits. We have given Hakrin's HP up on everybody, so once again, they take more hits. We have Hakrin singly targeted by the guild boss because we have manipulated his HP to the lowest. So notice every time he is hitting Hakrin, he has not hit another character from the single target this entire fight, and that's because Hakrin is the lowest HP. So this makes targeting, getting a target out of your guild boss super impactful, super helpful. And we are approximately 3, 6, 8, and then after this one here, this puts us at round 9. So you see 3, 6, 3, or sorry, 3 sets of 3. That means we're at a set of 9 for the attack up from the guild boss. That means that we're 9 rounds in, and we've already done 198k damage. Now, on average, your most average guild boss team does between 10 to 12 rounds. We're on round 9. Now, given that this entire composition is a very tanky support sustain team, there is ways to kind of work around that whole 9 is your average for 9 to 10 is your average for the guild boss turns, because we do have that additional support. It's going to be really hard to kill our Antinua. Our Hakrin, he's getting single targeted. His defense is a little low, but it's not terrible. He's already given everybody the HP boost. Blackhorn, we know when he procs his heals, he heals everybody in the entire squad. So it's literally just a waiting game. Now, as you see here, we are up to turn 11. So we're already breaking essentially the meta that is the normal amount. Because around this time, you should be about 300k damage, if not more, on the guild boss for the amount of turns you're in. Because the guild boss is stacking every attack up and doing so much more damage to you. That's why that attack down is so important, and why Blackhorn should really have that attack down landing on every counter attack. But like I said, I was not able to do that, and I really need to rebuild my Blackhorn and make sure he gets some focus, but he still needs to have the additional HP than the Hakrin does for this composition to work correctly. Also notice, you can see Antinua, she's taking that damage, but because she has that shield on, it's no big deal. And that shield stays on her almost permanently. It literally stays up until it is time for her to take a hit. Once she takes that hit, it goes away and procs, and at that point, hopefully the spell is up and it procs again. This works until we start losing characters. Once we lose, I want to say in this current build, in this current meta, I think William actually drops first before Hakrin does. And then once that happens, then Antinua, she starts taking a little bit more damage. The spell can't keep up because we don't have as many characters. And then things start to fall apart from there. But overall, if I were to increase Hakrin's defense, it would last a little bit longer. And we're already up to 310% or 310k damage, chest level 24. And this is 16 rounds into the fight. That's pretty impressive. That's a lot of rounds actually going against the guild boss. And you guys saw my stats on Antinua. It's not like she was the most OP champion that I had in the lineup, but she was built fairly decent to where she can do some damage. Just imagine if I had her say over 300k crit damage with 400 or with 4k attack. The amount of damage she would do on this guild boss would be insane. We would probably see more of an uptick of close to 370 to 400k already by now, if not higher than that. Also notice that defensive down just landed. It has not been up for most of this battle, and we also don't have our attack down, so William almost biffed it right there. That one attack was probably just enough to throw us over the edge, so as soon as the guild boss does his AoE damage, chances are William's gonna die. Hey, and just like I predicted, William died because that attack down was not quite up at the time. Now the attack up has went up. Yes, I do understand that the guild boss will remove this, but he removes this at the end of his turn. So as long as every turn you get kind of like an A1 or a counter attack out of Blackhorn, he's not going to destroy your team. That allows for that extra wiggle room, so to speak, on the amount of damage. Okay, we're about to cross, okay, we just crossed that 400,000 threshold. In my opinion, this is where we have a good guild boss run. We've hit 400k damage. We're at chest level 26. We will probably hit chest level 27 out of this composition, I think, no problem. We will just barely touch chest level 28, I think. But the amount of damage that Antinua is doing is just astounding. I mean, she's an epic champion, right, guys? She's not built the greatest, and she's just meleeing this guild boss. All right, so we are back. This is going to be the wrap up of the fight. As you can see here, we are at 400 and basically 70k damage. We have finally expended the special mercy spell on Antinua, which has saved her countless and countless times. And now we have ended the fight. We're at about 468k damage. This is not terrible, but like I said, this could get a lot better. And that would literally be if we were to take Antinua's crit damage and bump it up a bit along with her base attack. She would do so much damage that it would be totally worth it. But we got good rewards. We got, you know, necklace enhancements here. We got this will basically be fodder in my case. But we got him, and that was good. It definitely helped out. Overall, I'm not disappointed with the build. It could have been better, could have been worse, but it is RNG because we are working with the cursed set. But if you are curious, yes, like even my teammate, he's using a level 50 Antinua. What he is doing is essentially the same thing I am doing, but he is manualing it, and he's having a lot better success. I did talk to him. He's also using, I think, Assassin set on Antinua, which helps her do a lot more damage. So that helps her. So if you build her with enough damage, she can really scale and do the max amount. Whereas in my case, my Antinua could use a little bit of work. Sometimes she hits for 571k, sometimes she hits for whatever we just hit. It does vary, it does happen, but at the end of the day, we did a lot of damage in my opinion, and this is a fairly budget comp. So I do recommend it if you are really struggling on your guild boss. Definitely keep all the steps in mind that I just talked about, and I hope that helps you. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.